those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist blood.
Night. I'm very proud of you guys. I'm very proud of all of you. I'm very proud of the work that you put in. This is your opportunity. Voss said that how close it was, he needs to separate from you. Yeah, I know that every single person from the outside is going to have election takes that are really fucking annoying like that. And it's ironic because we won this race by an ass hair, which means that like my involvement in the primaries was definitely, well, not only was it welcomed by the campaign, but it definitely was to a certain degree necessary. And we're not even talking about the fact that when I stumped with Abdul, he went from third place to first place. I'm talking specifically about the organizing, the fundraising that we did, the door knocking that we did. So I don't want to hear from people who aren't personally involved in these sorts of incidents, in these sorts of races, who are coming from a place of timid restraint, coming from a place of fear, who actually hand it to the opposition, the oppositional framing to say, look, man, sorry, you're too toxic. You're far too toxic. Because the reality of the matter is, perhaps if Abdul had listened to those concerns, tonight would look awfully different. Today would look awfully different. Every little bit helps. Every little bit matters. Just like every dollar matters on the opposing front. And there were many, many dollars on the opposing front. $70 million in smears, slanders, lies, racialized animus tuned up. So yeah, for all of you, this is your moment to, take a breather and pat yourselves on the back. You did it. We all played a role in this, in history being made. Now, of course, there's still a much longer way to go. There's still a much longer way to go. So, we will continue putting in the work. But this community's, this community's biggest impact always going to be under 45 turnout. And I think we did a pretty good job at that. So that's my job. That's the role I see for myself. I'm in many respects a magnet for controversy, but that controversy in the hands of an expert communicator like Abdul El-Sayed will turn into a media opportunity to get in front of more eyeballs and to put your platform on the national stage. And Abdul certainly worked it. He worked the rooms that he was in, all 500 up and down the state. And he certainly also worked the media to his advantage. That, at the end of the day, is the only take that matters. And not only am I, in some instances, a magnet for quote-unquote controversy, because the media likes to create villains and heroes in stories. They like to prop people up, say that certain people are kingmakers. Okay? Even if those people say that they're not. That is a much more reliable narrative. It's a much more reliable narrative that you can cultivate. And when you make someone into a false king, you can also chop them down. It's a narrative device. It's a narrative device. And there's a lot of that will take shape in this upcoming general election. And we're going to be talking about that as well. But again, remember, $70 million. $70 million. Every vote mattered. Every door that was knocked on mattered. Every phone that was dialed mattered. Every single thing that you guys did mattered in this race. This is part of the reason why I was like worried and not as, I was definitely confident, but perhaps not as confident as some others. And it came down to 14,000 votes in a statewide race. That's huge. Turnout was incredible. Remember, never underestimate your opponents. Our opponents are incredibly powerful. Our opponents control American society. It's all of the corporations. It's moneyed interest. It has an impact on American foreign policy. If votes and voting didn't matter, they wouldn't spend $80 million total in the Michigan Senate Democratic primary. 64 million of it coming from Haley Stevens. Okay? Abdul won, but the results show you can't have shit in Detroit. Wrong. Those are not bad results. Those are good results for us. Because Haley Stevens' base of support is who? The most active, high propensity voters within the base of the Democratic Party. Older black voters, retirees, boomers who fall for the electability argument. What is the electability argument? The primary vehicle that drives them to the polls is to oppose the Republicans. The electability argument dictates that these are straight up, lifelong, down ticket, down ballot, blue, no matter who, writers of the party. Those people are going to come out and oppose Mike Rogers. Those people are the people that would vote for the, ham sandwich over Donald Trump people. Okay? Are you speaking like Abdul lost? I'm not. I'm just tired. I'm a human being. I'm one person. Also, my voice is shot. Perhaps that's the reason why I sound a little bit tired. I apologize, chatter. I don't know if you know this, but I was, away from home for the last week almost, and traveled all up and down. I went to Wisconsin. I was in Michigan, and last night I was up very, very late. So that's the only reason why I sound the way that I do. But yeah, Abdul got more votes than Bernie Sanders did in either of his presidential runs. These numbers are incredible. Abdul in 2026 was 735,000 votes. Abdul got more votes than Elisa Slotkin did in her primary. And that was, leading up to a general election with the president on the ballot. So it was spectacular. The turnout was enormous. Your impact was important. Okay? And it's not gone unnoticed by me. It's not gone unnoticed by the relevant parties. You will hear from outsiders who are not involved, who are unaffiliated.
So when someone...
Those who are watching from afar give their takes on it, desperately trying to confirm their priors. That's precisely what the take machine is about. It's the spin room. The spin doctors were out last night. The spin doctors were out before the last vote was counted. First, while we were excited and enthusiastic about the night, they were devastated, and they were already looking for a reason to declare that this victory, this imminent victory, was actually inconsequential at the end of the day. The armchair quarterbacks will cry foul from afar. Those on the ground know what took place. And what took place last night and what took place over the last couple of months was the power of organized people. Organized people defeating organized money. That's exactly what happened. So I need you to understand, no matter how much the naysayers, the outsiders, the DC insiders, the corporate media class, no matter how much they try to take this victory away from us, no matter how much they try to rain on our parade, this was immense. This was historic. This was historic. Nobody spends $60 million to lose. Bernie Sanders himself recognized it in a press call that he gave earlier today, where he said, I've never seen anything like it. So I'll tell you right now, DC is scared. Organized money is terrified. You understand? That's why they're chirping. That's why their boos are getting louder. There is nothing that they can take away from us. $64 million. 34 of it coming straight from AIPAC and AIPAC subsidiaries. You understand me? Yeah. So it's up to you to listen to the fucking haters. It's up to you to listen to the fucking haters, or it's up to you to lock the fuck in. Carville getting cooked on the timeline. James Carville, it's time, Grandpa. Leave the party as you promised. That's funny. Yeah. So I'll tell you what's going to happen next. I've called the shots so far. I've called the shots up until this moment. Told you what was going to happen. And I'm still unbelievably confident about Abdul's chances against Mike Rogers and the General. More confident than I have ever before. Okay? More confident today than I was yesterday even. So I'll tell you what's going to happen next. Unfortunately, your boy, without wanting to be an active part of this beyond just, helping out wherever I can, going where I'm needed, they are going to put the crosshairs. The Republicans are going to do that. They already started. And the Democrats that also have a significant distaste for the initiatives that we get up to here and the Hasan broadcast will lean into those attacks. They know that they can't make Abdul shy away from his positions. His positions are ultimately fairly moderate. His positions are not radical at all. Perhaps the most radical position that he has is his Israel position. And I think we all know that that is only radical in Washington, D.C. That's not the radical position in the heartland. That's not the radical position in Michigan. That's the radical position for the corporate media. It's the radical position for the political class, the commentariat. But they know they can't make him budge on that. So what they will try to do is get a scalp. So they'll say, look, you got to you got to trim the fat. You got to get this guy Hasan out of here. Just wait. They started last night. before they even knew that they'd lost the election. That is waving the white flag of defeat. You understand? That's waving the white flag of defeat. It's already happening. It's a truly abnormal response. I mean, this person is irrelevant. That's just like a obsessed former fan behaving like a jilted lover. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm actually talking about are like going to be the consultant class. They're going to go to the Abdul campaign. They're going to say, look, you gotta at least throw us a bone. You got to throw us a bone and you got to cut this guy out. He's too radical. He's too bold. He says things that are unaccountable to you. He says things that are unaccountable to you. You don't want to be associated with this guy. Republicans are going to attack him. So you have to shy away from him. Okay? Any kind of concession on that front will be showing your belly. Any kind of concession on that front will be weakness. Disavow the statement, not the platform. That's the name of the game. Why should this be a salient issue in an election? Do not play by their rules. Always flip the narrative. Use the opportunity you have in the spotlight to engage. Tackle the root cause. Why is this a problem? This is not a problem. This is not a concern that Michiganders bring up to me in the 700 different town halls that I've had. They never ask me about an online commentator. What they ask me instead is, how am I going to make sure that I pay rent at the end of this month? That's it. They want to lower the stakes. They want to reduce the importance of this race by talking about content creators on the internet. You got to talk about data centers, DTE, and how DTE is an ever-present, I'm talking Michigan specific now. For those who don't know, DTE is the major power provider. It's the worst in the country. Okay? I'm going to say DTE has ruined your life. They've donated to every politician in this state, including Democrats. DTE is a terrible company, and the only reason why no politician seemingly holds DTE to account, or they're terrified of freezing the rates, for example, which is a demand being made by many in the state. Very popular demand. That change never takes place. Why? It's because DTE buys the politicians. And at the federal level, it's not just DTE, it's Chevron. It's Exxon. It's APAC. It's every major corporation and every major PAC. This is how democracy is subverted. And we got to put a stop to it. That's it. We have one job in this community. We represent, from the perspective of DC, we represent the activist base of the party. We're the door knockers. We're the phone bankers. We're the canvassers. We are the excitement We are the momentum. Okay? We're there to fight back against moneyed interest. The way I see my role is not to bring out 75-year-olds to come out and vote for a candidate that I'm working with. The way I see my role and my responsibility is to bring out the under 45 vote, which we did. You know? We're going to continue to do that in the general. But yeah, Mike Rogers' instant straight out the gate attack ads. Mike Rogers' instant attacks immediately revolve around saying Abdul's a terrorist. Now, the problem is this is Islamophobia, but many Democrats are also Islamophobic. So the Democrats will, quote unquote, hand it to Mike Rogers without recognizing what they're saying and doing. They'll say, well, it's valid because you're hanging out with Hasan Piker, not realizing that it's invalid regardless. Even if I wasn't there, they would say the same thing. Even if I was never there, they would say the same thing. That's why they swapped his name from Abdul El-Sayed to Abdul Rahman Muhammad El-Sayed instantly as soon as the general started. So any kind of concession that you offer to the Republican Party on their framing on this issue is handing them a rhetorical W. Do not do this. You understand? Do not do this. The Hasan Abdul transited property on display. Rogers says he's running against someone who believes America deserved 9/11. First ad that came out instantly after. It was clear that Abdul El-Sayed won the election. By the way, I apologize. I'm like running into it already. I'm going head first into it. We're going to analyze the results in a little bit. There's a lot to extrapolate from this. There's also a lot of takes, the spins. The take factory is very much alive and well. This was Mike Rogers' first ad out of the gate. You are who your friends are, and Abdul El-Sayed's are radical leftists who hate America.
I'm not here to disavow people's views.
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it, I'm saying it.
When I was in college, I took a terrorism class.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
I'm not here to disavow people's views.
You know, I am in support of abolishing ICE.
Because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the...
Hey, notice how it's not just me on that ad, by the way, for all the fucking libtarded sock dems who think that they're making sound electoral analysis. Hey, notice something about all of the people that Abdul El-Sayed is associated with in that ad? Do you think this is a reasonable critique that the Republicans are launching for a statement that I, said and apologized for 8 fucking years ago at this point? Do you think that there's any sound critique here? Why do you constantly find yourselves, some of you, not people in here, but some on election Twitter, constantly find themselves rushing to hand it to the Republicans for some strange reason? Do you think the Republicans make a distinction between someone like myself and someone like Ayanna Pressley, someone like myself and someone like Zohran Mamdani? Do you think politicians are a little bit smarter than you and they recognize exactly what's going on here? And perhaps that's the reason why they take this differently than you do. Everyone loves to be an armchair consultant, backseat quarterback, backseat driver. Do you think this is coming from a place of well-reasoned thought, or do you think it's just like unbelievable racial agitation? Just racial agit slop?
Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
The people who listen to Hasan are engaging in faith. They want a way forward into our politics. I'm not here to disavow people's views.
America deserved 9/11, dude.
Cynical race pervetry from the pedophile defender, from the pedo protection party. Okay? By the way, classic example of the societal tolerance for vicious Islamophobia while they attempt to prop up anti-Semitism is this uniquely evil scourge. Yeah. Like the equivalent of this would be like a Groyper edit against the Jewish candidate. That would never happen. Right? Like playing Havana Gila in the background for a Jewish candidate, being like, do you want this Jew to control the media and the banks and also the realm of politics now? Like that's the equivalent of what this is. Okay? That's what this is. Black and brown people being presented as like radical America haters who want to kill everybody in the country, who love 9/11, all this shit, right? That's what this is. But ultimately, here it is. Okay? This is always a hurdle. This is always a hurdle. No matter what happens, this is always a hurdle. But it's a hurdle you can climb. So ask yourself this. Let's say Abdul El-Sayed is still named Abdul Rahman Muhammad El-Sayed. But on the one hand, his policy platform is identical to Haley Stevens. On the other hand, you have the current Abdul El-Sayed. Who do you think has a better shot at winning? That's the thought experiment. A Muslim candidate with Haley Stevens' platform, which is not necessarily a real platform at all, versus the current Abdul El-Sayed with the current Abdul El-Sayed platform, who do you think is more competitive in the general? Because ultimately, what these consultants want Abdul to do is moderate on the policies. Don't be so threatening to corporate interests because, and I'll give them credit, I've never been this involved in elections. I will give the establishment Democrats credit for one thing. They know what elections look like. They know how to win elections. They know how to lose them too. Part of this cynicism, from my opinion, comes from the fact that they've been working in Washington, D.C. for a very long time, and they know the voters. They know how malleable the base can be. And perhaps more importantly, they know the power that money has. So part of the reason why a lot of the consultant class and the commentariat are so terrified of a candidate that opposes corporate PAC money, a candidate that fights back against that sort of thing and calls it out. Part of the reason why they're terrified of that is because obviously it threatens their comfortable sinecures. But the other reason why they're terrified of it is because it is valid. Because a $70 million money cannon is virtually impossible to defeat. You have to be exceptional. You have to have tremendous messaging discipline. You have to have organic interest. You have to excite the base. You have to draw not only turnout, but also a real grassroots mobilization. You have to mobilize people to go out and knock on doors for you. That is the only way that you can defeat $70 million. And the inverse of it is that $70 million can still carry you to a close enough race, even if you don't have any policy. So, from the most charitable estimation, my most charitable interpretation of why the DC consultant class is always running scared is because I do think that some of them understand how malleable voters are, how susceptible they are to television ads, and how much of that could be bought like that by corporate PACs. Do you understand? It works. It works very well. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people say, just moderate your positions. Just don't say anything about Israel. I think that is AIPAC's power. AIPAC is just a, political action committee I'm talking about. Okay? AIPAC's power as a political action committee, in my opinion, stems from not some kind of, anti-Semitic suspicion that people have, like where there's like, Jewish hypnosis or whatever. Of course, that's not the case. It comes from the fact that they can instill fear in the hearts and minds of every elected representative. It can get the amount of money that they can dump into small races, into otherwise sleepy races, scares off people from saying what they know the overwhelming majority believe. That's why Abdul El-Sayed's victory was unbelievably important. Because I hope that it will give people a little bit more courage to come out and reveal what their moral conviction is, or rather, what they know their base wants them to say. So any W, any victory that we seize from the onslaught of corporate expenditure is moving the needle in the appropriate direction in ways that you probably can't even fathom right now, in ways that you probably can't recognize at this moment. What do I mean by this? When Abdul El-Sayed is uncompromising on the issue of Israel, and he still ends up winning, that shows other people who are paying attention in smaller races that they too can be unafraid. They too can say the truth. Slowly but surely, it opens up new opportunities. You guys keep saying,